Good morning. I think we shall start now. I'm Gleb Wishlinsky, Executive Director for Center for Economic Strategy. I'm going to moderate this session, and our center is also acting as the lead for this particular survey that has been joined by many implementing partners and financial contributors and executive assistance. I would like to thank taxpayers of the United Kingdom. Despite the difficult, challenging budgetary situation in their country, they have helped us with this survey, but generally speaking, they support UNFPA in Ukraine for implementation of the project for development and implementation of evidence-based policies to overcome demographic challenges implemented by the Ministry of Social Policy and Center for Economic Strategy and Institute for Behavioural Studies at American University Kyiv, that is also offering the premises hospitable. Now I would like to invite Darina Marchak to make the opening speech. She's first Deputy Minister of Social Policy. And she's something in between of the political sponsor and chief manager.
Co-sponsor and senior manager of the project for democratic development of the country that practically does a lot to make this tangible, not to leave it as a line in state documents and in governmental documents, to engage a lot of political partners, and that can be done for the analysis. Thank you very much. I'm happy to see such a big audience. And now I'm Darina Marchak. I am engaged in the demographic policy from the Ministry of Social Policy. A couple of important remarks. We are very aware of the demographic risks, war-related risks on the war now worsened all the risks that we had before the full-scale invasion, and the negative trends that we had to reverse, perhaps, to improve the demographic situation. It's a big challenge in its own right, and together with the Center of Economic Research and US Free University with the UNFPA, we have worked a lot to make this project of demographic strategy, and this project is focused on 6 different objectives. 4 of them are linear to horizontal. The linear ones are about designing policy for women in this country not to be afraid of having children, bearing children, for the children to grow in reliable and safe environments, and to have more responsibility and understanding, so that we have this trend for the premature death, and we have to work on the negative trends, migration trends, and a couple of horizontal policies for the inclusive labor markets, active longevity of life, active life. That when it comes to practice, we understand that the trend towards the negative situation is still persistent, and the young people are still leaving the country, and especially with the focus on our youngsters, we should appreciate that when we all await this the war can end, and we can have another part of citizens and other populace reuniting with their families, not in the not in the families, not inside the country. And so both in Ukraine and abroad, we have to review the situation, because this is a competition. You know, even before my time with the Ministry of Social Policy, I was Prozora Produce operational manager, and we worked a lot on how to develop the innovative, high-quality, state-of-the-art enterprise. We worked a lot with the managerial practices. And one of the insights back then that surprised me was this. There are two different approaches to making a team work inside your company. One approach is to identify some weak points and work on bridging the gaps, but the real star lead companies identify the strong points and capitalize on their fortes. We can accept this, and perhaps we should, to compete for our citizens, to be competitive in order to choose Ukraine as a place of residence. We have to overcome many problems with the disbalance in the labor market. This is about safety and the individual housing, high quality infrastructure, and so forth. But we have also to appreciate why Ukrainians should choose to stay in our country and capitalize on the fortes, as I said, that already present our advantages, competitive advantages. This presentation developed by the Center of Communication Strategy, and UNFPA, the Free American University. As a result of this survey, as I hope, we will be able to identify our competitive advantages, not just to correct some the mistakes and physically emphasize and concentrate on communication for everyone to be well aware of these competitive advantages. So I'm very thankful to the colleagues who are doing that. I think the best way to build up these policies is data-based, analysis-based, and not just based on hypotheses and assumptions. So this is very important to build up based on data analysis. Thank you, Daria, and I'm sure that this is a great example of cooperation between one of the best ministries in Ukraine, the Analytical Center and expert group, because we have this great demand on behalf of those developing governmental policy, the high quality analysis to help with the international partners in this analysis. And I hope that we should look into this as the best practice in the Ukrainian government and then scale up, so to speak. Well, before we switch to the colleagues who have done 98% of all work, and this we are not sharing this with the donors who saw the budget, but we've seen the budget. But how this idea was originally conceived, you know that the economic strategy center since 2022 had been taking looks into the situation of the refugees. Now it's the fourth wave, and after some After another wave, we realized that we cannot find the light, well, the light sphere, the light ball that can present the best solutions, how to bring them back, and the only factor, the most available factor, this is about reducing the risks, but all the polls, all the surveys among the refugees have their constraints, and when we did that, we would see that among 80% of the audience are young women, younger women, they are in Kyiv, they are not leaving, though they are very well in position to do that. And we are very grateful to Pavlo Zamastan, UNFP Serhichuk, we worked with and with the support of this idea to implement practically the second look on those and add those factors to understand why and the best steps and the instruments for Ukrainians to stay abroad and to come back from abroad. And here we have the best behavioral economists, Volodymyr Vakhitov, Natalia Zaika, who represent American University Kyiv, to have this survey, and Natalia has the floor. And as the deputy director of Institute of Behavioural Studies, thank you, Lib.
Я рада всіх вітати. Доброго ранку, доброго дня всім. Мене звати Наталія Заїка, я заступниця директора Інституту поведінкових
I'm Natalia Dika, Deputy Director of
почну розповідати
Free Universities, the Institute of Behavioral Studies. I would like to thank UNFP
уряду Великої Британії, які підтримали безпосередньо це дослідження, демографічну стратегію.
The demographic strategy for it to be implemented with the Ministry of Social Policy, the evidence-based policies to be developed to have this. This is the ministry, and we are driving in the right direction. We, as a person from here, I'm a local, I'm one of the hosts, so we, in case of air defense alert, have to go to Poshtova Ploshcha metro station for shelter. So by all means, we will continue and do everything without any air defense alerts, I hope, hopefully. For today. So the figures, the data, and so forth, as Lip said, it was very interesting, and to understand what was motivating people to stay, and women in particular, to stay inside the country, in the country, in Ukraine, with all those threats still persisting. So the methodology, the demographic profiling, the reasons to stay, and how many people plan to go abroad and why. And this is for Volodymyr to start the second part of this presentation. I'm referring you to the second part of our report. We cannot keep you here for 3 hours. So you will have more to say. That was the rating company. We're very grateful. That was the end of 25, the end of January 25, the beginning of 25. To see the territory under control, we will have those women of
the cohort indicated here. Why women? Because to 80% or 85% of men, male respondents would give the standard answer. They are not allowed to leave. Now we can have another survey, a different survey, as to whether we should concentrate on 2,000 plus respondents, and we compare them with the women who did leave, and that's the fourth study, as Gleb said, 18 to 60, this cohort, and some comparison for you clarity, and that was the communication strategy, and this is also available at the site of our institution. So what have we learned about demography, demographics of the women living abroad? There are some, and the ones staying inside, there are some who have never left, so the IDPs, and this is regardless of their official status of IDP or DP. The ones who moved in 2014, but after 2022, they are not IDPs because they have not moved after the invasion started. And there is another thing, that's women who the category of former IDPs, people who left at some point, and the women abroad, living abroad, we can compare them to understand who we are talking about exactly. And 80% of them left their places, and 24% of them went abroad, 7% lived in both places, the rest stayed in Ukraine. And the latter category, back, the majority of them, 40%, they lived for a long time. They stayed out of home, abroad, overseas. The majority of women had done in the same urbanization kind of trend, smaller places to bigger places, from rural areas to urban areas. From the front line, the best way for them is more comfortable. It's more comfortable. It's about amenities. It's about comfort. And the most interesting part for us as the research team, we can see IDPs, former IDPs who stayed in their communities, with their communities, the same kind of cohort profiling, but women coming abroad, the comebacks, the returnees, they have this 30, 39, big gap, because there are very few people of this cohort coming back. And we cannot find similar data in some other categories, perhaps, and this is a sample that is quite random. These are women with underage children, and they are the most reluctant ones to come back, and we will have the opportunity, as we hope, to compare the figures, having researched those who have come back, to talk about the trends with more evidence base, with the better. But basically, roughly speaking, now we can see and say that they are least likely to come back. Well, the structure, the age structure, we can see the green scale. Those are the ones who are still abroad. They left after the invasion. Their age profile is basically the same as with Ukraine. And this disproportionate 30-39, there are many of them abroad, but there are very few of them the ones coming back. The financial situation and we can have very few people with very small income. This green scale, those are people who have no income enough to buy the basic things, and the blue one is poverty stricken. They can buy products and we are talking about the policies, sorry, and this is about come back, this is about, the desire to come back, the desire to stay on, and the desire to have children. Specifically, so the highest income is with IDP. This is one of the poorest categories, about 56%. Those are people who cannot buy clothing items, articles. And the ones who went abroad, they have higher income, and we know that from many different researchers, 74% said that their financial financial situation worsened. Only 6% had an improvement, so reported an improvement. And the IDPs, this is the one staying, and the IDPs, it's even worse. And we can see the eastern and southern areas suffering more. And this is clear, this is easy to explain, because of the hostilities, because of the war housing. Now, this is a very important indicator of many people who decide to stay abroad, and even more, they discuss in the jobs, income, the salaries, it's the availability, the affordability of housing. More than 60% live in their own homes and their own house, and 10-15 lease. But with the IDPs, the situation is this 64% rent, 16 have their own property. Before the war, 60% of them lived. And among those who came back, we are leasing, and 15% of the comebacks, and some of them come back even despite the fact that they have some available accommodation, but this is a small percentage. About the reasons to stay in Ukraine, and how important it is for you to stay in Ukraine, to stay in your community, almost 80% of the people report that it is very important. A bit less about their communities and IDPs. IDPs have a slightly smaller figure, but they want to stay in Ukraine. 6% of they report that data is not important for them. And the demographic factors influencing the situation. And this is about the ones about the income. We can see the higher the income, the more the person is willing to stay. And they live with bigger income and stay with a smaller income. Now it's reversed. The ones who stay with higher income and with a lower income, they discuss and contemplate the opportunity, and the business people, they do not want to do that. And the owners of their own property versus the ones who rent, we can see the linguistic divide. The people with the Ukrainian language are more willing to stay than the Russian-speaking ones. And this is what we've seen in our analysis, but what is very important here is and this something that contradicts our assumptions. We can see this narrative, and this is about the care for children, and this is the factor that provides for the desire to leave. The ones staying, this is not the fact. Children are not the fact. And rural people are not more dedicated, not more faithful to Ukraine, because we and this is not, there's no difference between the two categories, contrary to our expectations. And the regional capitals, where the fellows want to stay most, and with the narratives, we can see the communities under occupation of the hostilities areas, they do not have more desire to leave for abroad. We usually say this is about these stereotype. And we have the list 10 plus more than 10 factors, well, this is about the agree or disagree, yes or no. We can see that 91% they say that they can stay over their own country in with their own family. They do not want to sever the links, and well, this is about quantitative research. They say that if there are many options, the people do not look into it, and when you offer different house, it's 1/4 here. They wrote in sentences and passages you see, and this is about my family, my children, and they explain themselves, their desire to stay with a family, and they say that this is what they see and how they see it, and 60% This is the financial and eventual. These people are 47%. It's about property and residential property, even more. These professional development opportunities. This is about the economic factors, and we ask about different things, and we some people report that they do not want to go anywhere. They had several informal interviews with the people, and this is the opportunity, the two-thirds, and the unknown reasons are irrelevant because it's self-explanatory. 12% report that they want to leave, but they have no opportunity. The block we asked about, which is important, this is about the risks for themselves staying in Ukraine, if they stay in Ukraine, and if they stay, well, we ask them, would they happen to you if we have the blue scale, the situation, these are the risks by 2 times, by 1.5, but sometimes the situation living abroad and thinking about Ukraine, they really see great risks for themselves, and this is a mirror reflection of a scale. These women staying abroad. What if you live now? Would that happen to you, do you think? Can the blue scale, those staying in Ukraine, they think that the risks are evaluated higher. So that is interpreted this way. If I stay in Ukraine, it's not that bad. Well, one gets used to it, and there are no obvious hazardous threats, but from abroad, it all looks different. And this is another policy, communication policy. They think whether they should come back, and they evaluate the risks, estimate them at a higher level. And all the communication is not about just making them think that it is all safe here, but just to correct this perception or attitude. Now about your life in 3 years. Also, women in Ukraine, women abroad, the most important part is not just the figure, but the image of the future is statistically important. And it's not just about demographic factors, but it is about the way I see my own future, the future of my country. If they expect that the war will conclude in 3 years, they are more willing to stay out of all the risks and this fear that they cannot get medical assistance, and the fear that they cannot get used to the local customs and rules and prescriptions. So this is the optimistic view of the Ronan, their country. Pessimistic is the war to be continued, lower income. Pessimistic view makes people leave the higher rate. So Volodymyr Vakhitov, director of the Institute of Behavioural Studies, he will discuss not why people stay, but why people might leave and what induces them. to do so. Let me discuss the previous slide. With our cooperation with Economic Strategy Center, we managed to have both studies, and the refugees were included to compare. They were developed in parallel. We have this unique opportunity to get similar data at the point of design, and we are very proud of that. So we are very thankful indeed. Now about the intentions. 2022, the evacuation behavior was looked into why people didn't evacuate from the dangerous areas. The frontier plus Kyiv plus Dnipro, 1/3 of the people left back then. We can see now Ukraine, about 40% of the Ukrainian women leaving. And it is interesting to know what actually keeps them here. 72% of Ukrainians never plan to leave, but if we look into the coalition of the willing, so to speak, young people, divorced or single, so family ties are very important. And there's one category, the returnees. They went abroad, they lived there, and they decided it wasn't good enough. Now they have come back here, and it is even worse here, and they want to come back abroad again. So they have experience of living here and there. We can fight for this category. This is one of the categories that can help us there. We can have some social triggers, social links. Unfortunately, something is happening to our presenter. The quality of the sound deteriorated considerably. Unfortunately, the sound is very bad. It's distorted. It's minced. And impossible to understand. I'm sorry, but the sound is speeded up. The sound is speeded up beyond any possibility to make anything out.
Сьогодні зробити прямо зараз. Тобто, якщо людина морально не готова поїхати,
So if a person is not morally ready to leave, most likely they will never leave, and this is a great fact. And we can form the image of the future, for the image of the future to be translated into reality. And we have done this experiment. The essence of the experiment was as follows. When they are most likely to leave, no, I don't stay in the occupation, or what will it will trigger if they destroy my property. But if we merge occupation and property, what is more important? And it is not just anything exceeding the other. So this is discretionary experiment. We decided upon safety, income, utility, social, residential, foreign policy, domestic policy, internal help stay in the same. And the second situation is the same, better, the same, or worse, stays the same, or gets much worse, or there is this threat of occupation. And this is the same income dropped by 50% and something, we mixed the situation and the two scenarios where they had to choose, and that basically the same. And it was the smartphone kind of survey, and on their headsets they saw those blocks, and they had to pick up one of the situations with a request as to which situation would induce you or make you leave. More likely, sort of thing. The holistic approach is how people inside choose what is better, what is worse, prioritize for the situation. That was the first issue. That was econometric. That was calculable, but with difficulties. And we added another question: the situation that you opt for. What is it? It happens. Would you still like to stay in your community or leave your community internally or out of the faith? And which factors influence the desire or the decision to leave or would influence this situation? We wanted to actually see how people choose between the bricks, and which factors are the most important. How do you think? Safety. safety, right supreme. If we take it as one, so 57% goes to the loss of property. Some people personally say, well, if Ukraine is occupied, I have no housing, but housing comes second. So safety is the first factor. Rest is the second is the loss of housing, the loss of property. I have seen a family from Mykolaiv in Budapest. They could not come back because in May 2022 their property was destroyed and they have no place to come back and no time and money to rent anything. So they are facing this dilemma, but then we have the loss of income, half of the income, and then if you have so the energy supply is interrupted or discontinued. International assistance, so internal political problems, they influence, but not so vastly, not so powerfully. The most important thing is safety and housing. Well, in addition to that, if we look into the situation when people leave, there's the situation when people can live go abroad or stay inside Ukraine from the point of view of staying abroad or being abroad. Well, the most important factor is housing. That's probability factor, the main driver. And the most important factor is complete occupation. All the family left, and then we can see the front line being broken, but not so the subsequent complete occupation. So we can see that housing and safety are the driving factors. And what can we say here? Well, first, women stay in Ukraine.
Якщо вони мають роботу, якщо вони мають знайоме середовище і стосунки. І це є важливим. Соціальне середовище, в якому вони живуть, є дуже важливим. Для багатьох власне житло – це символ стабільності, це прив'язка. Можливо, це трохи натяк на те, що у нас настільки перекривлений ринок оренди, що люди надають перевагу жити в власному житлі, і, можливо, в цьому щось треба зробити. Але в цілому житло є основним якорем, яке їх тримає. А на другому місці ми говоримо про впевненість в майбутньому. Оцей образ майбутнього, який впливає на всі дії, тобто він не просто впливає на безпеку, а воно має бути якесь більш чітке розуміння, чи майбутнє щось несе, чи в майбутньому в країні є сенс залишатися, чи є сенс тут народжувати дітей, чи є сенс інвестувати в професії, які потрібні в Україні, чи є сенс планувати щось. Тобто оцей образ стабільного майбутнього, він також дуже впливає на можливість виїхати чи залишитися. Тобто жінки, які бачать тут краще майбутнє, вони залишаються, і саме тому тут більше зараз залишаються більш багаті жінки, тому що в них більше ресурсу думати про щось. І саме тому бідні жінки думають про те, що в Україні вони не знають, яким чином себе підтримати, і тому вони намагаються виїхати. Звичайно, це трошки спрощено, там складніша ідея, але в цілому воно десь приблизно так виглядає в середньому. Для багатьох рішення залишитися – це не про економіку, це не про доходи, це не про професію, це про стосунки. Знову-таки, коли ми дивилися на відповіді словами, то дуже часто було про те, що я не можу виїхати, тому що у мене тут людина, у мене тут чоловік, у мене хтось воює, у мене син воює, у мене тут могила дочки, яку вбило, я не хочу це залишати. У мене тут є хтось, хто для мене важливий. Тобто ми кажемо про те, що Україна як єдина мережа, вона все одно тримає людей тут набагато більше, ніж виштовхує. Крім того, люди, які виїхали, у них дуже важливий фактор – це їхня самотність. Тобто дуже часто люди за кордоном показують, що вони самотні, вони хочуть повернутися. І ми це також бачимо дзеркально в нашому дослідженні. тут мої люди, тут моя земля. Це важливо, це дуже важливо ми це усвідомлюємо. І плюс самореалізація, що людина бачить, наскільки людина може тут зростати професійно, наскільки людина може тут зростати сімейно. Ми також бачимо, що люди, які бачать тут таке майбутнє своє самореалізацію, то вони рідше планують еміграцію. І дуже багато людей зазначило, що вони залишаються в Україні, бо це моя країна. Десь 50% абсолютно твердо сказали, ще десь відсотків 30-40 сказали, що я майже впевнений, що да, я з цим абсолютно погоджуюсь. Тобто це відчуття своєї країни, відчуття національної ідентичності, воно також дуже важливо як для залишення в Україні, так і для того, щоб люди поверталися в Україну. Тому коли ми вивчали біженців, то там також фактор ідентичності він впливав на повернення. Тому щодо політики, що ми кажемо про те, залишатися чи їхати? Залишатися – це усвідомлений і стійкий вибір. І це важливо розуміти, що будь-які негаразди, вони виштовхують людей тільки коли цих негараздів вже дуже багато. І перше, коли ми тільки отримали дані, коли ми спочатку почули дослідження Центру економічної стратегії про біженців, а потім ми отримали наші дані, ми це поєднали, я кажу, у мене таке враження, що ми досягли вже певної рівноваги щодо того, хто їде, хто ні. Тобто у нас є все-таки якийсь певний процент, який хоче виїхати, але тих, хто хочуть і можуть виїхати, їх дуже мало. Їх там десь менше 5%. Більшість людей абсолютно більшість людей кажуть, що ми виїжджати не хочемо. Мотивації людей залишитися або мотивації людей повернутися, вони мають входити в публічний наратив політики. Тобто ми маємо більше говорити про успішні кейси людей, які повернулися, ніж успішні кейси тих, хто виїхав за кордон, переніс туди бізнес і почувається себе добре там. Тобто для журналістів набагато важливіше було б сказати про те, розкопати історії тих, хто повернувся до України і заснував якийсь бізнес тут, і втримається тут. Або про стратегії, яким чином люди шукають житло і роботу саме тут. Крім того, дуже важливий зв'язок з місцем, дуже важливий зв'язок з локальною спільнотою, з тим, де люди живуть. Багатьом чувство вкоріненості та є житло і робота. І тому вкрай необхідно надати більше допомоги ВПО з житлом. Тому що ми бачимо, що якщо немає змоги оплачувати своє житло, так, щоб воно не коштувало 90% своїх доходів, то люди будуть більше схильні виїхати, і тоді ми їх будемо втрачати. Тобто, якщо ми хочемо тут затримати більше людей, то нам потрібно більше давати грошей, компенсацію на житло саме для ВПО. І активніше працювати з підприємствами, тому що все ж таки економічно більш вигідно не стільки давати гроші напряму, скільки забезпечувати людей роботою, щоб вони були більш самодостатніми. Тому що не тільки житло, але й робота вкорінюється, і робота дозволяє цей ідея вкорінення розвинути краще. Тобто, коли ми кажемо про те, які мають бути програми підтримки ВПО, вони мають пропонувати якусь більш комплексну підтримку. Тобто це не тільки гроші, це і якийсь певний фокус на житло, це також соціалізація. Тобто ми не опитували прямо ВПО, але з того, що ми спілкуємося з людьми, які приїхали з рідних міст, все ж таки проблема соціалізації також є. І зусилля спрямовані на соціалізацію людей, на роботу з громадами, вони також є важливими для того, щоб люди вкорінювалися і зупинялися. І плюс потрібні оці програми мобільної підтримки для жінок, які доглядають за близькими. Ми бачили у відповідях, у нас не було цього варіанту, а жінки писали це у себе, що я не їду, тому що у мене в родині хтось хворіє, інвалід, дитина інвалід, батьки інвалід. Я дивлюся за своєю матір'ю. Їх не дуже багато, але вони є, і тому тут питання в тому, наскільки можна таким жінкам надавати додаткову допомогу, щоб ці жінки все-таки вийшли на ринок праці хоча б частково. Тому що немає грошей підтримувати всіх.
We are ready to have them back. And our support programs are working fully. And if a person we need to analyze for the situation. We need to estimate their opportunities, because if someone stays in his or her village, doesn't mean that he has money or decent income. Just their opportunities to go anywhere. That is the main reason. And people need this financial support. Apart from them, when we talk about returning, people usually ask where to return. Where should we return? Because the place that we want, the place that you want us to return to, is not has no conditions for us to live decently, to work, and to receive the income that we want to receive. And some people who do not see any future in Ukraine, of course, they sooner or later they will try to go to Germany, for example, to participate in their refugees program. We thank you for your attention, and we just want to remind you that there are a lot of indicators, and we need to consider all of them factors. Dear colleagues, we will now start our discussions. Need some tables here. Thank you. We have some happy circumstances because we have +1 speaker in our discussion panel, and which is very nice, and we're happy about that. So let me check everything is set, and I welcome here my colleagues. Maybe Dasha, you maybe come first. Let me see where you can take a seat. This is Darina Marchak. This is Darina Marchak, the first Deputy Minister of Social Policy of Ukraine, then Ilona Havronska, Deputy Minister of National Unity of Ukraine, and Volodymyr Vakhitov, the Director of the Institute of Behavioural Research, American University, and Ilona and Daria Antonina, Director of the Employment Department of the Ministry of Economy of Ukraine. So we will cut here, so to speak, some tasks. Let's discuss your reaction on the results of the research. What do you think about the results? And maybe if you have some extra time, Dasha, I would like you to ask to comment on the I would like you to comment on the housing policy, because we would love to discuss it as well. And apart from them, Elena will have a question about the employment, about the um, uh, about the work, how people feel on the labor market, and what jobs they can find, and what is your vision for all of it, and how we can make this um, policy work, housing policy, and we thank our partners and colleagues because the timing perfect. And if you have any questions for our speakers, you can raise your hand and we will take into account that you want to answer. Good day, good afternoon, dear colleagues. First of all, I would love to thank you for the work carried out with the research and everything, because I think that this is about a prosperous um, um, policy, prosperous state policy, public policy that can be the starting point for good changes. And again, I'm thankful for those who were affiliated with this research, those who were carrying out this research. I think that we can now talk about the strategies, discuss them. And again, I would like to thank my colleagues for their bravery, for their honesty. They raised such bold questions. They talk about our the most sharp um, challenges. This is very important. We need to understand the needs of the people. And then we can react. Then we can respond that. So, from the scientific point of view, it was very important to me to find this point of view of this, the main point of view of the research, because this push challenge, so to speak, is one of the hardest. And we need to find the, we need to estimate, analyze the ideas that make people stay, and maybe find the best ways mm, how to help, how to be helpful, and we need, of course, to to consider all the reports because it's very important, especially the latest report and the prolongating research as well. So I want to highlight here that anyway, any story, any cases of our dialogue with people, we see that there are a lot of meetings in Spain, in France, that there is an open dialogue between the government representatives and people, refugees, and we like them to talk, like them to have this open mic. They need to speak. They need to share their challenges. They need to share their pains, and they need to be heard. And I like this tendency. Of course, there is an emotional um, uh, element, an emotional component, because people, they are psychologically very tied with their country, uh, with Ukraine, and of course they keep thinking about their country. They keep thinking about returning, and we can, according to these reports, we have 86% of entrepreneurs who want to come back, who want to return to Ukraine, which is uh, th- this is a very uh, promising tendency, and we can say that is very valuable. What we see, according to researchers, the most valuable thing is families, the social connection, um, relatives, kids, husbands, and so on. But apart from that, we see that the same time we see that um, some many entrepreneurs, they come back. They want to have business in Ukraine. And in Ukraine, they want to um, uh, make connections with foreign stakeholders and keep um, developing their business in Ukraine. And we can see that the main strategy that we um, tracked from this report can lie in the basis of the policy. Thank you for your comment. I think that for Ministry of Social Policy, it is very difficult to mm, uh, work with this um, researchers, and we see that um, the, the when we started to carry out the research on refugees, we created a presentation. You might have you may have um, uh, seen it, and we can see that there are a lot of uh, products in English language as well, and um, we are um, we are making it bigger, and it is very promising tendency. I like it. Thank you. Now, Ilona, Deputy Minister of National Unity of Ukraine, what is your comprehension? What is your understanding of these tendency? Of course, some people are incredibly happy with living um, the bank of the Dnieper river, having this picturesque, picturesque landscape around. They're happy about it, but sometimes it is not enough. What do you think? Because people are tired of being in area of the challenges with the insecurity, understanding that the situation can become worse and people need to plan their lives. What do you think? What could be further actions? One, thank you. I would start with the um, reflection about this research. Of course, I had some expectations, and the idea that I liked the most was to the idea that we have to build such a society where people are have this kind of social cohesion, such a way that people want to join this uh, uh, social group, let's say, uh, and people need to have this feeling uh, of living their balanced, informed, weighted, like balanced, informed, well considered life where they can build their future, work on their future. And they want to live in the country where it's comfortable to live, where, but at the same time, we we still have this question: what kind of country we are building within future 10 or 20 years? What is the image of such a country that we are building in the closest future? And of course, we understand that housing is a key aspect, but it's not the key aspect because we have a lot of um, mm, we have a lot of challenges, and we have a state budget, and housing is one of the key responsibilities of the state. Uh, we have here uh, we already have 4 programs just for only 4 houses, and I want to discuss the, the processes that are um, that we have nowadays. These processes they are happening at the same time. We have a lot of movements, uh, and we need to look what actually do our colleagues from different fields, from other industries, different areas of work, because uh, it used to be that way that uh, the um, communal property used to be given to anyone according to some state programs, and uh, there were joint ownership. But now there is another um, structure, and a key point here is individual housing, because everyone wants to have his or her own accommodation. People are actively renting, and we, of course, we we had we had such a problem. There were large QE to have this um, that finally people are happy. They were waiting. They have been waiting for 30 years just to become an owner of this apartment. And now the situation is being changed, and we like it. Some people they can take. Some people they can take refugee deal for them, or privileged mortgage, and some people they cannot even afford for them renting. And of course, it is very sad that the different layers of um, the society, they have absolutely different opportunities. Even though if we ensure individual housing, sometimes we need to take care of those um, um, retirees, senior citizens um, who then are absolutely alone in those apartments. They need to be kids. They need to be in contact with the society, with the state, and we see that we here can create these tools of taking care of families, and we have here 4 programs that are absolutely good and decent, and they can work, they can show results. And what we see here, that the most vulnerable groups, they have the following needs. Individual apartment. The second challenge for them is loss of job, and they are looking for a job. They need to find their place in the job market. This is the second point. Today we have, according to the state register, we have 866,000 of IDPs who are who can work, who are who have this ability to work, but they don't have work. They haven't found a job. So, and another challenge is the other challenge is that the biggest part of IDPs, they were living in the industrial cities, mostly on the east, and Of course, they they face a lot of challenges and uh, being taught in receive some education, to be trained to get job, and the last but not least, mm, uh, another segment of needs, which is a driver for people to leave the country to go abroad. It's this is about the um, comfortable industrial, comfortable infrastructure for people. Um, Comfortable infrastructure, because people, they need to have the kindergarten, schools for their kids, hospitals. If you have your, for example, district, you have a kindergarten, but uh, there is no shelter there, any place to hide during the alarm. So why does this mom need to go there? So infrastructure, um, this um, infrastructure and facilities, it means a lot for people, because to they need to have all these conditions where when they can take care of their kids, when they can help them to raise the um, health society, where they can go to school, where they can go to the kindergarten, where they can go to the salon, where they can go to the hospital, anything they need, like in other countries. And apart from that, we need to think about the ongoing psychological support, mental support for IDPs, for people from occupied territories, because they need to be socialized, they need to be understood, they need to um, mm, to make this, to create these ties with other people. They should not feel bad about their origin. They should not feel bad about the situation that we have today. We need to support them. We need to help them socialize. This is very important. And of course, from time to time, we change our minds about um, our state policies. We rebuild our state policies. And we should understand that the main goal of this such a policy is to address, to respond the needs of each family. And I think that this movement that we have today, it is going very fast. Just the point is that we need to uh, create these policies, build them for people, so people could use these programs, and these programs would work. We still learn how to communicate with our partners. Thank you, Dasha. This is perfect speech. I want even to cut it and extract fragment to show my colleagues, because you were numbering a lot of challenges, and of course, it is very sad. I was trying to visualize the situation, the work of the state. Course, as a state, we need to help people to find a job, to get employed, because of course we still are at war, and there is a category of people who still keep talking about the Soviet Union, how it was good at that time, and so on. From another side, we have young people who want to just forget about the past and start and build their future, prosperous, promising country. And there is a challenge even for citizens, because there is a challenge for citizens and for the state itself, because the state needs to manage a lot of problems, and solve a lot of issues, face a lot of challenges, and there is no end for these challenges. Thank you for this opportunity to join the discussion. Let me also comment on research. I liked the research because of their description of women, of the way how they really understand women, their needs, their problems. Just I'm a woman too. I have a kid. I'm a mom, and I can't leave the country because I have my kids here, and they insisted on staying right. And they told me, Mom, no, we're not going anywhere. We decided to stay. Of course, there are a lot of challenges in the employment system. We interview people who reach us out, so who have their inquiry, who have their request, and we analyze their problems. So we have this opportunity to listen to them and to understand the tendency. Services are not about money anymore. Services are about how, and of course, there is need to find the need of staffing, to find personnel, and we have developed 4 directions of the trainings for people who want to get free trainings and to get naturalized to receive some experience in some field, activity, and we carry out trainings for people who want to um, uh, get knowledge about some profession, and they need to be skilled. They need to get skilled, and they need um, to get qualified. And apart from that, we have a program for uh, mm, entrepreneurs who want to receive some additional support in building their career, and who want to find stakeholders, partners, or some consulting they need to receive. We also have the digital entrepreneurship program, and our services they compensate them mm, um, the expenses of for those people who applied for a job within our program, and they are provided with financial help. And at the same time, again, what Irina has mentioned, the main problem is that 866,000 of IDPs are unemployed, even though they are at the uh, age of employment. Again, we have discussed it several times, but again, um, more in their majority, they are from industrial cities the east of the country, and they are looking for opportunities. We are looking for some ideas. We have programs that provide with hostels and where they can stay during the period they are looking for a job or they are trying to get employed. And we go work with those employees with those uh, um, mm, with we collaborate with those employers who are responsible, who are reliable, and who can consider uh, our people who made this application, who had this inquiry, to help them to get them employed. We have um, um, we have a lot of areas of work where they can get qualified, where they can get skilled. They just need to receive trainings and within the understand its main goal, that they need to help these people to receive training. They need to, these people need to be provided with training, professional training, and then become a professional in such area. Another question that we have here. Of course, when we're talking about employment, we understand that we need different regions, and people from different regions, they are acting differently. They have different points of view, and of course, Kharkiv, Zaporizhzhia, Dnipro, etc. They need our special attention, and people understand that they need to go that they need to go closer to the to some industrial city where there is some where there is some production, manufacturing, and they can for sure find a job where there. And when a person finds himself or herself in a place where there is no request for his or her skills, where he or her is a professional not needed, he or she will move to another region or another country where he would be on demand. So someone can make drones in some regions, but some people, they cannot adapt to this challenge of war. So people find themselves in some certain circumstances, and some people, they are certain about their actions, they understand what to do, and some people, they feel lost. They do not what to do, and they don't know what kind of choice they should make. Some people, they use this opportunity to get knowledge online, to receive some education online, and with communication. We understand that people are not fully satisfied. Of course, there are problems anyway. But this is about those people who know what they want. But what about the rest of them? They are lost because they can be just stressed, and they feel lost. They can't concentrate. So they can't just put their attention fully to their responsibilities. That is why we need to engage therapists, psychologists, those who know how to treat them, those who know how to talk to them, those who can support them and can help them to find these words. this um, this foundation framework. So we have had such experience where we were working with women who were absolutely uncertain about their future, about where to go, and now they are entrepreneurs because they just first they needed communication, they needed attention, they needed to be spoken to, and now we see that people who receive
And
as support
people,
and who
we do support, and we have preferences, and everyone is special, and no, we have histories and special cases. We're all working for the best of the country, development of economy, and preservation of Ukraine as a family-like country. Thank you very much. Before referring this to Volodymyr, I had the difficulties. Please, by show of hands, are there any comments? Are there any difficulties? Is there any kind of demand? Volodymyr, would you like to add anything? Anything at all answering this question? Well, it's about difficulties. The Ministry of Culture, the Ministry of Education are missing with Ukrainian identity. The Ministry of Culture is all about pride, though we can see that people do not leave the country when they learn to be proud, but have to something to enjoy. And this is critical, you see. This is critical about the national identity and local identity. And we can have some research, some survey among the refugees inside the groups, inside communities. This is not just about all the community, all the populace. You are supposed to be resourceful, not just the financial resources. And this is about something that we can do. This is something that is yours, that is for you. We do not provide you additional cash, but we do the things that can pave the way to independence, to income, to decent lifestyles. So that's policy making in my book. And this is something that is your own, that is local. And we have many cases when teenagers through telegrams are caught as flies with a sticky band because the propaganda plays with the fact that they have no identity as people. Something you own, the sense of ownership, the sense of belonging in Ukraine, because if it's belonging, it's something you say, you have something to come back to. And we've had a lot of answers, and Ukraine is something that I own, that I belong to. And well, I would leave Ukraine in Russian, they say, but they're keeping me here. I would like to leave, but I have a boyfriend who would be killed at the borderline. But two cases, but 2 for 1,000, 1K. is bad enough. So we have and this is one of the mental goals. This is the sense of belonging. We had three questions, and this is somebody who had the unidentified colleague, the three of you, and Ola, Alexandra, and the three questions, and then the comment, and 4 comments, and then we'll come to the bring it back to the panel. The Yulia Kobinets, analytical center service, the now identified colleague, and that's what we do for the Ombudsperson's office, and you focus on the things that make you stay or keep you at the bay, at home. This is to be supportive of returnees. Instead, we have to think about social and economic development of the country, and we have to think about it, have to think about some good things that we can offer, not just to the returnees, but IDPs. Speaking of IDPs, speaking of which, I have this question, because in our research, we mentioned that in focus groups, people would admit they looked into what was happening and how they were supporting the IDPs. That wasn't enough. They said 2,000 hryvnias is not an income to speak of, and people needed resources and needed to channel resources for the benefit of those who are staying in Ukraine, who suffered from this war, who are faithful to the country, and more Russian-speaking Ukrainians are inclined to go or prone to live in the country. And have you seen what is behind it? Is it some kind of prejudice, or maybe this is some kind of condemnation, and people would judge those people, would actually be inclined to accuse them, to blame them, to victimize them? Have you looked into this issue? Thank you very much, Julia. We have plenty of time. Let's park the question for the Russian-speaking, the Frontier Institute. Well, it's about the women who came back and the ones staying abroad. The ones who have come back have decent income, as it shows in the slide. So some people are ready to actually accept some downgrading in their social status just to leave. So the returnees, do they understand that they make money here and they can do that or do that abroad? This is one of the motives, perhaps. So would you like for the future to look into the staying ones, the staying abroad, self-implementing, self-esteem, self-fulfillment, and the ones who are not prepared to downgrade their social status, and this is something. This is something that can be accepted. This is the first story. If you read my narrative, And I'm interested in the social benefit for renting a house. And is it a success story, and how that's the essence of my interest? Great questions. I don't think anybody can answer them though. Natalia, now please take your seat, Dasha, because you would like to do that. And you it's about the knowledge, and let's collect all those questions. We were supposed to, well, Alexandra cannot be stopped. And I have learned that this is a great survey, one expected, this is there's not about the last question about the renting. The government launched that program. I was with the IDPs. I asked about IDPs. It's a great program. What is somebody going to give us this officially? Is it a formal thing? Because there are taxes. It's about taxes. Great number of comments. And what if they do that? The tax authority will come to us, and there's this program, and they are going to reach out to those people, because there is a lot of information at the ministry website. The communication gap divide in the country, and the ones who are supposed to receive this assistance and communication. And I wanted to comment on that. The state supports this. You're doing a lot, but there are many things. That's the miserable part, insignificant, let's say, negligible part. Respect to employment services very low, and low salaries, small income, unqualified. This is about communication, how to do that. I have looked into the budget. This is 5 billion grants and support. This is experience of Ukraine, small, medium business and enterprises, very little done for grants. With grants, so we discussed mobility programs, and that was they relocated this money, and last year, the year before last, 2,000 for everyone, instead of leaving that with the employment center, employment bureau, employment service, and they are staying, and well, there's this issue whether we can raise this issue for the government to stop it, and for us to launch this training at the employment bureau, because that would stop us, and we'll have to increase the number of people who are unemployed. And we, this is a comment. Now a question. We can see in the slide why people are staying here. They're staying because of their family matters, family circumstances. Let's imagine that the war is stopped. The man can leave now. What comes next? This is the focus they want to do something. I know about my friends who are dreaming at the front line about the war being finished and them going. So we're ready to go because our men can now go with us. So won't this be the case? Natalia, you were ready for this question. It's good that we have we can we have this Sana Danilo, who is I would like to thank Volodymyr, and it is very like a double standard with the most important thing. This is mine. This is here. This is I worked at Kyiv on college, and this is a taboo topic. But the 17-year-old, so they participate in all the competitions, all the patriotic games, and they buy tickets and go abroad. And this is about doing something in Ukraine for real. The summer camps, and this is the aggressor country. And when they do that, can we do this? And won't we have double standards? And how can we avoid? Please. Well, I am Katerina Kornienko. I'm a military officer, and there are many factors mentioned in your survey motivating women to stay. But how about the women who decided to, like myself, to join the security and defense forces? Well, this is about, you have to remember this. This is about thank you very much. This is the Prime Minister's, Vice Prime Minister's Office for Integration. Have you included the number of ones suffering from the war, the number of the sexual violence victims, survivors, and the last. You should use the microphone. We are online, but we have plenty of time. What is there? Well, the sample women who whose partners joined the army and the ones fighting, they actually referred their families abroad. They sent them away. And have you looked into this category and what is the result? Well, this is the clarification that we have. So now we have this survey, and this is, I would like to thank Olga and Ilona, and it's about children and their education. And we have in the armed forces of Ukraine about up to 100,000 women. I think that is much. but 80. And if they are in the sample, they are not really representing a great number. And well, this is the quantitative thing, and we cannot say 1% of 20K. You can calculate this about 200 to 400, and the same is about women who have their partners or husbands dear near fighting. Well, if stay with this category, we should not mention any incentives, stimuli to stay or to go. Well, that most likely this category in no way is to be excluded. Well, now about a number of people willing to go, the men willing to go right now to join their families. This is safety. Nobody wants to die. So if the security situation changes and the hostilities cease or to exist or suspended at least, the front line becomes more or less stable. Even with the drone impact and drone exposure, we will have fewer parties willing to leave. My personal opinion is that 18 years old is not the age. These are young adults, but still they had not to be constrained. Education in Ukraine with freedom to go and to come back. Of course, there's the legislation the army needs, and that cannot be changed quickly. From what I see, young people finding their place abroad with the universities, and fewer stimuli to stay, to leave, more incentives to stay. And I think graduates of secondary school still are confused. Universities provide them with more confidence, self-esteem, and orientation. And that's why it seems to me that that wasn't the right policy. I don't think that this can be now reversed, but and unfortunately it's to be continued. But if you ask me, I would have changed it. I can't say that I remember everything. We had plenty of questions, but should have taken notes of the questions, host questions. But from what I remember, well, a partner not being able to leave due to legal reasons. This is about the changes, changing the conditions and the mood, the attitude. While somebody gets this permission to go, would the couple or the family go? I have no answer to that. We can design a study that can look into that hypothetical situation, but we had no idea just how important different matters were or would be. So let's look deeper into that. Well, no, those options, if I read the presenter's mind right, it is very difficult to evaluate, but taking this general approach, my impression would be that there is a great number of women, ladies, willing to stay. And this is all very self-conscious. This is all very with aware, a great degree of awareness that with the bulk, the body of answers, this is all conscientious, this is all conscious. And if the limitations are lifted, the impediments removed, I think that will be 10%. So 10% who are just kept here by the barriers artificially installed. That's my impression of all the bulk of questions. We had plenty of questions. Let me remember at least some of them. The Russian-speaking refugees in Poland, national identity. There was that condition, and there was clear, was statistically clear the national identity and desire to come back to Ukraine. And this national identity and the desire to come back, and statistical importance of the language. If your language is Ukrainian, and well, why people have more desire to leave, the Russian-speaking ones. There is a lot of access, and this formula we can refer to some corroborative research. This national identity, let's say, has several dimensions, several components, constituents, and language is one of them. There's also property, friends, family, job, income. So language is one of them. We had a lot of feedback. The Russian-speaking Ukrainians donate for the army, to the army. They fight also, but statistically, the Ukrainian-speaking ladies are more inclined, more likely to stay, and there is this statistical difference. We are not judgmental there. Perhaps indeed people coming from the Ukrainian, it is very difficult for people to change the attitude, break the attitude, form the new ones, and there's this feeling of home, of identity, of belonging, of ownership, and it is all formed with the place where you belong, the language of the village. Women in the armed forces, and 1%. This is the motivation. This is the and this type requires some additional research, and this is the pattern that I would like to make two deliberate comments, because there's this overlap with our research. What was also important for us, in fact, there's this overestimated flow of men or women together with men. After the end of the war, they will go, and among the refugees, we have fewer ones whose husband is Ukrainian and staying in Ukraine. And this can be logically explained by the ones who have fewer reasons to stay. They were more likely to prolong their stay abroad or not to come back ever during the 3 years of this invasion. That's 19%, only 19% of them have this as a reason, a partner, a husband, and so forth, a man keeping them here. Now, this is what I remember. And about this last wave, and after 3 years, they have learned where they can stay in an optimum, comfortably, the ones with allowances, and this is Germany. These are Scandinavian countries, Britain to a lesser extent, Austria, but Olga would disagree. I trust her on that. And the biggest jurisdiction is Germany. There, they have most of our ladies staying. This is very important from their social policy because basically the social and protected groups and the ones who are caretakers and even relieving the social protection and what if Germany says goodbye to them? Yeah, well, the most this is about Ukrainians in Poland. This is a big concentration of Ukrainians in Poland who are working, holding jobs with a lower qualification, and Poland is well, I do not understand the math. They're using the calculus for IDP to gain the status if it is about somebody leaving the hostilities areas. The only explanation, these risks, and they. This is about, and this is the comeback, and they have to come back somewhere. Let's turn another page. It's about the women coming back, and the ones who would stay for 2 or 3 weeks. That was very conscientious. If you understand the well, 2 or 3 people going to Przemysl, then to Warsaw, Poland, and people, families consisting of 3 people, 25,000 hryvnias just to get there, to Germany, to Poland, and to make a start. So this is big money for the majority of people we are discussing here. They are financially incapable. So maybe we can consider financial reasons. The ones, the third reason is financially independent ladies. or the third category. The 30 to 39, 6%, the category, and this also demonstrates that this is not about self-fulfillment. This is about security, and there's difference that we discussed. Women abroad, they think that it is much more difficult, and that was something that we had to adjust. And this is more about security. The ones coming back, the returnees, and this is something that we come back to the graves of our late beloved family, elderly ones, because fewer youngsters come back. Let me add, using the remaining time, we have this group, this quasi-labor migrants. Well, and with the ready workplace awaiting them, they can come back. And now, Olena, your presentation, and then Ilona's presentation. About this service, we are doing a lot, but communication-wise, many we have the historical leap. We knew that you lose your job, you go to the employment bureau, and you are paid for some period. And people could not be passive. I've been with the service since 2020. Some people consider this as a transit stop. Now nobody can afford this luxury, and this is about taking a break, and they had the unemployment allowance for 3 months, and for the people approaching their patient age eligibility, they used to be disregarded by the employers, but not anymore. Now it's changing. Now we're developing communication. We have professional communication, specialist. We are represented, and there's the mobile app, and the TikTok. We can also include, and this is from business, this is social request, and this is the international partners. This is about communication, and we have mineral resources, we have our materials, and development of the industries. That was about small businesses, smaller businesses. We're asking people, and we can. Since 2022, we had 23,000 applications for grants, and in January about 20,000. And the individual entrepreneurs, business and economy is a system. and they are in we are discussing the grants. Yes, you protect your business plan, and this is not credits. This is not business loans. These are loans for this assistance that is with the paid salaries and the grantees obliged to create jobs. And if you work, you can help somebody else. For the compensation programs, you can take into account international practices, and we support our employers with our resources and compensate employment cost and contribute to the payroll. And in the society, we have this deficiency in the workforce, and they come back to people over 60 people with disabilities. Last year, in 2023, we had well, we had this headway, and we compensated for jobs assigned to people with disabilities, jobs reserved for them, and for the ones being demobilized and self-employed individual entrepreneurs with veteran status to continue their business activity or to start to become startups. The size of compensation 120 1900 received. A separate topic I would like to discuss using the remaining time. We have about 100 occupations when you can get additional qualification. This is for IDPs, businesses developing, and when people come back, they have to catch up. And business has to be states of the art. Operators of the systems, on production systems that have to use computerized equipment, and the equipment is changing, and we have some black boxes, we have some things that Odessa centers, and we are ready to see everyone for the Center of Education, vocational training. Now I'm ready for your questions. Thank you very much. Ilona, your presentation now. Thank you, Oksana. Thank you for drawing our attention to this paradigm, from being proud to our own, and our own, the sense of ownership, because it is my country, that's the choice. And I discussed looking into the skills, opportunities, social connections, and this is for the future, views for the future. And my experience is in strategic planning. Strategic planning, you see, is about seeing something that unites our interests of everyone and for everybody to aspire in a very organic fashion for the biggest number of people imaginable. This is what I hear from you, and this is what I like to discuss in my presentation. Darina Morchak was referring to this very need to have the vision of the future, and this is something that we can see. Thank you for highlighting that in the context. Thank you, Ilona. Well, the presentation part is almost all Sergei Brzynski, experts. It's great to participate in this wonderful, successful events. There's nothing like being motivated to discuss the problems that we have in the place that is conducive. And thank you for providing the premise to the American University. So, UN Population Fund is best positioned to discuss such matters. There are many additional issues. We could have prolonged this discussion for hours and perhaps days and weeks, but back in 2018, we discussed that in the Bar Association. There are three topics I would like to discuss using the opportunity. First, have we asked men about Ukrainian women and the motives to stay, the incentives to stay? Shevchenko District Court is the leader, and we have statistics of 2023, terrible statistics. Divorces because of the war. This is leading even winning over the mobilization reasons, mobilization-related reasons. This is the key consideration for Ukrainians to come back, and this is something to discuss in terms of communication in the families. Because let me say, my sister is a combatant, ex-combatant. The most important thing is that you have some place to come back to, somebody waiting for you there, and that includes the government. How can we discuss Ukrainians abroad, 400 people, and we have 200 people waiting for one. That's about respect. And abroad, people realize that respect matters. I'm just back from New York, and I was traveling the US. Chicago is one of the destinations. Why Ukrainians stay in Ukraine, they ask me. Ethnic Ukrainians, after 65, before the war, they planned in Chicago, 50% of them planned to end their lives in Ukraine in their original communities, and they wanted to use their pension savings to bring it to Ukraine, buy a cottage, and that is the pensioners, and this is with the $2 million. That's what you need. That's why pensioners abroad, they can use their time, take their time traveling, but it is expensive. So those pensioners are prospects, there is a prospects for Ukraine. We have to think about it. According to the migration service that we looking up to and waiting for, 70% of the citizens of Ukraine as of 2025 had no international passports. And one of the stages, and I suggest we discuss it now, this is the research, and this is something And this is the handicap for employment. The Ireland and Austria stimulating Ukrainians to stay Austria. It's 1,200 euros for the proficiency in German after 1 year of stay. This is factor to conjure with, so to speak. This is very important. Gender, education, and the most important thing is for the principal criteria. And we have to understand the strategy to be translated into the action plan for us to discuss specific action. And we have to respect people abroad for them to feel the feedback, to detect that we care, and we can become the ambassadors abroad. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And now back to our moderator for subsequent presentations. I understand that we have plenty of time for some refreshment. After this very exciting, prolonged event, and thank you very much for coming. Thank you very much for the ones joining us online. Thank you for the ones to the ones. And have a nice and sunny day. And thank you very much.